Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the LOCUS Golden Hour podcast. My name is Kristina.
And I'm Lina.
So, this podcast is about sharing stories, advice, tips, and all things surrounding university and student life. And as the school year comes to a close, we reached our last episode for this season, which is super crazy because where did all the time go? But don't worry, we'll be back with another season next school year, which actually leads me to the fact that we're joined by a very, very special guest for the first segment of this podcast. Everyone, please welcome Steph. Insert clapping and cheering noises here.
Yeah. I'll cheer for
Steph,
myself.
Steph, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie. I am currently a LOCUS OCA, and I am the incoming Virtual Programming Coordinator for next year. I'm a third-year music therapy student, and I'm super excited. Yeah.
Yay. Awesome.
Yay!
So, Lina will actually be going over to marketing within Locus, right? So, Steph and I will be continuing the podcast next year for season 2. So, we have a lot of things in the works that I'm very excited for because Steph and I have worked together, like the three of us have worked together for some events like the Valorant tournament and stuff like that. So, I'm excited to work with you more, Steph.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun. I've It's been really interesting kind of jumping into like all of the streaming stuff this year because it wasn't something I was planning on at the start of the year.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, no, I'm excited to like have it be part of like my portfolio next year and be more involved with it. So
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, you do a lot behind the scenes. Like, Lena and I were talking about the fact that you change all of the, what's it called? Thumbnails on all
Oh
the
yeah.
streams on
Mhm.
Twitch, and you like
The
categorize them and stuff.
dedication.
I have no idea how to do
Yeah.
that. So,
All the edits and even just like being a key member of our Twitch team and part of Let's Tier with all the overlays and everything. Steph has done such a great job. So we're so thankful for her.
Thank
so
you. Thank you.
we have a little bit of an icebreaker, not a question, but it's like a rapid fire thingy. So it's called Burst of First. So it just asks you about all of your first, like for example, like a first job or something like that. And like I said, it's rapid fire. So answer as fast as you can. Um, we can stop for like to elaborate if we find something like funny. But yeah, there's about 15 questions. Are you ready for Burst of First?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Lena, do you want to alternate? We'll alternate asking questions.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Sounds good.
I will go first. Okay, Steph. First question. What was your first job?
I worked as a receptionist at a high-end hair salon.
Oh, that's cool, actually.
Yeah.
That is
It was like a
fun.
yeah, no, it was like a part-time position that they had only for high school students, and I it was the hair salon that I had gone to my whole life, and I got the job there. So I worked there for like 3 years, 4 years.
That is so fancy.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, our next question is, what was your first cell phone?
An iPhone 3GS.
Okay,
Whoa.
bougie.
So you were a cool kid. Okay.
Well,
iPhone from the
it was an
get-go.
emergency. It was an emergency phone that I shared between me and my brother,
Okay.
but it was technically the first
Oh,
one. So
I remember sharing my phone with my brother too, but I definitely did not get any of it, you know?
I used my
I
mom's
never got
phone.
it either. He used to do like all sorts of after school like sports and whatnot, so he always had it. And it wasn't until I got lost on the bus for the second time. The first time I got a house key, the second time they're like, okay, this is too frequent. They replaced my dying iPod with an iPhone. So
Ah.
yeah.
Nice, nice.
So the next question is first major purchase.
I honestly couldn't tell you, but if I had to take a guess, it's probably either some sort of electronic or some sort of instrument. I would put money on instrument.
True, true. First, oh wait, Lena's turn.
But all good. Our next question is first time you got in trouble at school, if you ever did.
I was a good kid. But there was one time where me and this teacher never got off on the right foot. She was kind of a bully. Um, it was not good. And so I was accused of doing something and told to write an apology letter. I wrote like, "I'm sorry for blah, 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 but here's all the reasons I think you should give me an apology." And I handed it to her. I very quickly got sent to the principal's office after it was shown to my teacher. My principal was very cool and he let it slide because he thought it was kind of badass what I did. Sorry. That was kind of cool
Wow.
what I did. So
No,
yeah,
that's
no, he got
No,
he
that's
got rid of it.
pretty
standing up for
cool.
yourself. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very interesting story to say the least.
Wait, how old were you? Like, what grade was that?
I was probably like grade 8, so
Okay,
I was what,
Okay, go
13?
off.
Yeah.
Go
nice.
off. Yeah.
Our next question is first internet screen name.
I feel like the first one that I used consistently, and it's so bad, and I always have to explain people why it was this, but it was I Stephanie, but the E's were threes.
Ah,
Um, yeah, and
nice.
everyone's like, "Wow, you must think you're so quirky." And I go, "No, my middle name starts with an I, so that's where the I came from. And without the threes was already taken, so it was my quick fix."
That makes sense. I always thought it was so fun to like replace things with the numbers, right? Like 4, 3, whatever. I don't know.
Or for A.
That was an era, right? Like I feel like there was an era where everyone would do that. But anyways, our next question is your first pet.
I had a cat, a black and white cat named Smokey, thanks to my brother naming her very young. And yeah, no, we grew up basically together. She was, I think, like 4 months younger than me, and she lived up until 19 or 20. So
Wow.
first and like major pet that stuck around. So there you go.
Wow.
That's so sweet. That reminds me, like there's a car that basically was my sister because my family got a car when I was born, like this new car. So it's like, oh, she's like 18 years old. Like we had her for so long. So yeah.
Our next question is first broken bone, if you have.
I have actually never broken a bone. That is one thing I've been surprised that I haven't because I am very clumsy.
Nice, nice.
Our next question is first instrument you played.
That that's piano. I
Mm.
played piano first and then I switched into singing, which is my major now. And now there's like 8 instruments I play, but the first one was piano.
Nice. Get the basics of all the theory and stuff like that, right?
Exactly.
First concert?
See, now I've been trying to think of this because of all the concerts I was supposed to go to this year. I want to say the first one was the Trans Siberian Orchestra. Way back, like years
Oh,
ago, my mom
Whoa.
took me. It was
Cool.
a cool concert.
Okay, music major. Okay.
Well, they're called Trans Siberian Orchestra, but they're like not an orchestra.
Okay, I was like,
They're
wow.
kind of like a rock band, so
Oh, okay. I heard
it's
orchestra and I was
very
like, oh,
weird.
strings.
Yeah, no, no, no. They're very cool. They put on like a pretty good concert. So if you ever get bored, search them.
Okay, I will.
I will search them after this. Our next question is, what is your first choice in a karaoke book?
Oh, I actually don't know.
Or a song
It's
you'd like to sing?
I feel like I would sing any of them. Honestly, it's kind of whatever comes. But when I did an audition in high school, I sang Budapest. I don't know if you remember that song for like years ago. Um, and it's just like it's got a special place in my heart. So probably that one.
Nice, nice. Our next question is first locus event that you went to slash planned.
I I feel like I never got a chance to go to any Locus events before this year. I wanted to go to, I think it was Mocino in first year, and I had the invite and I was ready to go and I couldn't make it. So I feel like the first event I planned this year was probably with Allison, the other music OCA. and we did a kind of mix and mingle social, which was kind of fun.
Those are always fun. I always love the alliteration with the names. I always love that. What was your, if you can remember, your first Laurier class?
For some reason, I want to say it was a theory class, like a music theory class. Because I remember it happened every Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. And I want to say it was the very first one. Either that or skills. I was bad in both of them, so it was an interesting first month. But
What is your first Laurier memory?
I I have a lot of Laurier memories at this point. I would think it's something to do with the first year leadership program, like either on the Arts Council, which I was on in first year, or it's probably some sort of like faculty of music thing. Um, I lost my one card in the first hour of getting it on the very first day of school. That's actually probably my first memory.
That's like a
Yeah,
record.
Wait,
that was
how did you lose it? Like,
yeah, it was so I got the card. I put it in my pocket, which was my first mistake. Um, I don't even think I might have gotten to use it once at Wilf's in the time that like I had it. I went to my faculty meeting, which was in the theater auditorium, which is like this big space with a lot of chairs. It must have slipped out of my pocket and it fell into the chairs. And I knew it was gone and it had to be gone in the TA, but I couldn't find it. So after like a week waiting for this card to show up, never got it, got a new one. Someone walked up to me in choir class like 4 months later and they're like, "Is this yours?" And I go, "No, like I have my one card." It was my original one card. I guess they had pulled all the chairs out for like a concert and someone had found it like stuffed in a corner. So now I have two one cards.
Is the first one like still like activated?
I I think I deactivated it at the time because I didn't want it to like get used if someone found it.
Yeah.
But I think I can reactivate it. But
Oh, okay.
oh.
yeah, no, I've got two of them now, which was not the original plan, but they have two different pictures on them too.
Oh,
So I
I
can
feel
tell
like
which one works and which one doesn't.
I feel like that's a record
Nice.
for losing it within the first hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was impressed with myself. I really was.
Our next question is, who was your first Laurier friend? I feel like this is kind of a hard question, but
Um, I feel like I have a friend named Laura. I feel like she was probably the first one because we met during Arts Council. And we both were one of the like off off campus residences. Like all the apartments are a little further out. So I was down in University Place and she lived in 260 Regina. So at 10 p.m. on Tuesday nights, or I guess it'd be closer to 11 by the time it was done, we would walk home together, just so that we were, in a team sort of thing. And like throughout those walks, we got closer and closer. And yeah, we had a lot of really interesting adventures and like plans for arts events. So probably her.
Nice.
aw,
Shout out.
that's
Was it
awesome.
Laura?
Laura, yeah.
Laura, shout out. Shout out to
Yeah.
Shout
her.
out.
I love the walks going to FYLP. Mine was on Monday nights. It was because
Mhm.
we always walked in a group. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, our last question for Burst the First is first time you felt like you belonged at Laurier.
Is it cheesy? Is it this is such a cheesy answer, but I'm gonna say it anyways. I am originally from Sudbury, so before I started at Laurier, I only came to the campus twice. Once was for the open house where I saw like around campus, wandered around, learned a little bit about the Faculty of Music, and the second time was my audition. And that was it. And then I just started at Laurier. But from the first time I walked on campus, I said like, okay, like this feels right. This feels like the community I want to be in. So Even before I auditioned, I kind of knew I was coming to Laurier. Cheesy answer, I know.
No, I love it. Honestly, that makes me feel like we're coming kind of full circle because in one of our first episodes, we talked about the feeling that you get when you go to a campus and that you know that it's the place that you want to go to. So like I feel like we're wrapping up season 1 with just that sentence right now.
Full
It is a
circle,
feeling.
honestly.
You're
It
there and you're
really
like,
is.
this is where I'm gonna go.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. Because we have Laurentian University here, but I don't know if it's just because I've grown up here my whole life and I've gone there for high school and whatnot, or if it's just because it's kind of like kept to one part of the city, like in its own little bubble, but it doesn't really feel like you're on like a university campus and like this is where you need to be and this is where you're going to be for 4 years. But when I stepped on the Laurier, I was like, okay, yeah, like I get it now. I get the university experience.
I love that.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for participating in our burst of first. That was really great. It was so fun to kind of get to know you a bit better with these questions. So first of all, welcome to the podcast, and we can't wait until for season 2, I guess, when you and Chris start hosting this. So with that being said, I really wanted to ask you if either of you can maybe give us and the listeners, the viewers, a little bit of a sneak peek of what you have upcoming next year for Twitch, for VP. Like, what are you up to next year? Spoilers. I love spoilers.
Spoilers. Um, well, we haven't gotten a chance to like fully nail down a plan, if we're being totally
Mhm.
honest. But I know some of the things that I'm hoping to work on in the next little bit is kind of upgrading a lot of the visuals and the looks of the Discord, the Twitch, just making everything. You might have seen me doing it a little bit, like we talked about at the very start, with like the thumbnails and the like making highlights and grouping them. Like I'm gonna get a lot more consistent with that and trying to make it look a little better and easier to find. So that's one of my goals. Chris,
I love
do
that.
you
Yeah, but like keep visualize it how you want to. I know it would look amazing. Yeah, we haven't really got a chance to talk too much about it. We're definitely going to be meeting over the summer a lot, I think, to plan. Um, but like we're continuing the podcast. We're gonna have probably around the same amount of episodes that we did this season, probably around like 25. So I've got a lot of ideas to come up with. And I know that we're planning to do a Valorant thing again, and more than just once. Because we found from the other one that we did in March, is it? Oh yeah, it's April now. Whoa. The other one that we did mid-March, a lot of people really loved it and they were asking if there was more, but it takes a lot to plan. So we couldn't get another one in for this year, but I know we'll definitely get a lot more like throughout next school year. So I'm looking forward to that. More Minecraft streams. Um,
Mm,
like you will you two still be doing Let's Tier?
I
Yeah,
think so.
maybe.
That's the plan. I'm hoping to keep with it. And then I've tossed it around in the back of my head, and maybe we can get other people's feedback on it. But I think there was the Locus game show that like very briefly happened at the start of this year and then kind of fizzled away. And I think it would be kind of cool to bring that back and in maybe a little bit bigger of a scale.
Bring
Yes.
it
But
back.
I remember we participated on
we
it.
gotta,
And it was actually pretty fun.
yeah. Some part of me wants to see if there's any way to like have Locus people in the same room and then live stream like the room itself so that you still have like those interactions rather than just in a Zoom call. Little thing I've been trying to figure out logistics on the back end, but it might be
Honest,
cool to have some people in the same room.
honestly, I was thinking about that too because I know we did like a uh was it like a coffee house sort of thing? And we streamed nobody ended up coming in Brantford. But so it was Mitch like singing the whole time, amazing voice, great guitar player too. But I think it would be cool because that was like one of the first times we tested like streaming just what's happening in a room. So because more in-person things will be happening next year, I think that will start to become more doable if we have the tech for it, but we'll figure it all out.
Exactly.
I'm very
Yeah, so
That
excited.
that's
is,
probably our that's our ideas, I think.
We just
yeah,
brainstormed right here.
Yeah, exactly. We'll start writing them down, honestly.
Well, thanks for sharing. That's really exciting. I can't wait to see what you two come up with next year in terms of programming and all of our Twitch initiatives. So I'm very excited. But I think this episode, we're going to do a little blast to the past here, maybe a little reflection on this year. So, Steph, I know this is your first time kind of being a Locus OCA. It's kind of, I guess, different from resident. So, how was it like being a part of Locus? What did you like? Were there challenges? Anything you want to talk about, really?
Wow, I could go on for hours with with that open-ended. Um, Absolutely no hate to residents. I hold residents near and dear to my heart, but I really, really enjoyed Locus this year, compared to residents. I think Locus has such an atmosphere to it where the people who are in Locus want to be in Locus, um, and are really involved and engaged. And we see it at like Hawk Weekend every year. Locus is always just like this sea of teal. You can't miss
Oh
them
yeah.
wherever you go. Um, but no, I've done the residence Dawn thing, and now I've done the Locus off campus advisor, and I definitely prefer Locus and the people in it and the um, kind of tasks and whatnot that are involved with it all. But um, I would say like still being in this sort of like hybrid year, and maybe that was part of the reason why residence was difficult last year was because there was a lot of restrictions and whatnot, and there still kind of are. But even this year with the more hybrid stuff, I know that I had personally a really hard time trying to get students to come out because I don't blame them, but having to do class on Zoom and then, logging off of that and logging right onto another Zoom call is not fun, right? It's definitely not something you want to be doing with hours of your day, especially when you only have so much free time. So it was a little challenging to get some students out, but I talk to a lot of my students because the faculty of music is very small, so you see them everywhere pretty much, and I would all check in with them, and they're like, "Yeah, no, we're doing great. We're having a good time. Like school's going well." And I was like, "Perfect. I'm glad to know that you're doing good and everything." But yeah, I think the people who want to be in Locus are in Locus, and that's maybe the biggest difference between residents is students who are in residence are usually because they have to be there, um, and sometimes they're maybe not as engaged as some of the Locus students.
That is a very good point, that the kind of community that Locus has, because like you said, at Hog Weekend or here in Brantford Golden Hog Challenge, I remember in my first year, I was in residence, but there was no residence building that matched the energy that Locus had. And I remember there was probably like, the turnout for Locus was like, it was big, but like it wasn't as big as the residence ones, but they were still louder than everyone else combined. So
Mhm.
the community and the energy is honestly what is so like what makes Locus so like distinct and apart from everything else.
For sure. I think Locus has a lot of good spirit. Very enthusiastic, as Steph mentioned, everyone wants to be there. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad you had a good experience and obviously very, very happy that you're still with us for next year. So I really can't wait. So I think if that's everything from what we wanted to talk about, we have a words of wisdom portion.
Words of wisdom.
So essentially, what it is for anyone who hasn't listened to our podcast, we basically share words of wisdom. It's in the name, folks. It's in the name. So basically, you can either say something from what we talked about, you can give tips or advice that like literally have no relevance to this podcast. Literally anything you want to say, you could say go out and buy a potato and that could be your words of wisdom. So yeah, this is your chance to say whatever you want, Steph.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Wow. Well, I mean, my own personal wisdom is everyone should learn an instrument, but that's a
I
whole other
agree.
topic.
I agree.
I would say like the one thing that I've noticed in the last little bit, because I am registered in a first year course taking sociology just for the fun of it, and all of the students have like a Discord where they're talking on it, and I had a couple students start like venting, and they had some frustrations about like they don't know anyone here, like they don't feel like they're involved, they don't feel like they have a community. And so I was talking to them for a little bit, and one of them was a mature student. And I said, "Do you know about Laurie's mature and transfer students, community?" And they didn't. So, in 2 seconds, immediately, like they said, "I finally feel like I have a group. I finally feel like I'm involved in something." And so I kept talking to some of the other students, and I don't think people realize how many different areas there are in Laurier. Like, there's so many different clubs and associations that you can get involved with, that like you really can't be left out. Because it is hard to make friends with people when you're in a class of 300 and everyone's required to be there, and you go in, you listen, and you leave, sort of thing. But it's a lot easier to meet some people when it's 20 people in a room and they all have the same interest as you. So my advice to people has just been kind of see what's out there, see what you like, and go through Laurier the Nest and see if there's anything that stands out to you and your interests and whatnot. And it's been helping a lot of students in that class. So maybe it can help some students who are listening. Who knows?
Snaps.
Full
Also
circle,
another
full
thing.
circle moment.
Yeah, full circle moment.
Full circle moment. Throwback to our podcast episode about getting involved.
I love
Awesome.
those words of wisdom. Yeah.
Those are really great. Yeah, we also do snaps for when people say really great stuff. And obviously, Steph, that was amazing. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. And thank you so much for being here today, for taking the time out of your day to share some of the wisdom and just be here to talk to us, because I always enjoy talking to all of our OCAs and staff. So thank you so much. Um, for everyone listening, make sure to follow our podcast, subscribe, and leave us a review. You can also follow us on our Instagram at Locus Laurier to stay up to date with all of our events and podcast episodes. So we will see you next time, which will be season 2/next year.
See you in
But
September.
until then, yeah. I'm coming back, but I won't be a host anymore. But until then, stay golden, everyone. Bye.
Bye.